Hi everybody, welcome back to my experience and the awakening process as it happened to me. I think I'm going to be able to get this out done today in this last video here, so it might get a little lengthy, maybe, I don't know, but yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and wrap this up with this here, but okay, so yeah, if you haven't watched the other videos, this might not make a lot of sense to you, so you might want to go and watch those before you get into this one. But okay, so there is, okay, I was at my friend's house still. This was the last couple of the last week. This was in, I think, the end of October. And I had said in my last video I'd had a lot of energy, and I couldn't sleep. I mean, and I was sober, and I really didn't know, I mean, call it insomnia or whatever, but I couldn't sleep, and that's really odd considering I was taking the medication, and that medication should have made me sleep, but it's like I had some kind of foreign energy going through me, which makes sense now, but it didn't make sense then. And I ended up, there was one night in particular where I was actually kind of hallucinating kind of bad. I was sitting in, and everybody was asleep, and I was sitting in the living room, and I think I was trying to play a video game, or I was doing something, and there was a chair sitting next to me, a little bit down, a few feet over, and it had a black shirt on it, and I was looking at that black shirt, and it just looked like something you'd see in a horror film. I mean, it like in The Ring or something. Like, it was there, but it was like something else was coming through it. It's like I felt a weird energy when I looked at it, and I felt like something was just about it. And I actually remember thinking that the girl from The Ring was about to just come through the TV at me, and I was just kind of like, oh my god, and I was scared. I was and I remember going into the kitchen. I kind of ran into the kitchen, and then I was standing there for a second near the refrigerator, and I had been to this house. I mean, I've known this friend for 12 years now, at that time 10 years, but I had never, and I'd been to this house many times, and I'd never noticed this before, but I just kind of looked to the right, and in the cabinet door, I saw what looked like an 8-foot Draconian, and it looked like a Draconian being just ingrained in the wood. And I did get a picture of it, so I could post that. But it's almost, when you look at the picture, it's almost it reminds me when I took the picture and I thought about doing this video and talking about this. It's like, it reminds me of those people that get a potato chip and they see Jesus in it, and they're like, ooh, look, they take a picture of the potato chip. But this was, I mean, and I gotta mess with the picture, play with it, and kind of point some stuff out. But I noticed it like that. I mean, I just looked over and I was like, oh my god, and I took off running in the other room. And I had actually, I think the night before, when I couldn't sleep, I had ran into a band called Draconian, and I started looking in at their music and reading, because if you listen to the songs, you can't really understand what they're saying. You have to actually read the lyrics. And I started paying attention to songs like that, like really listening, and I just got this feeling like it was vampires, and that they were living on the moon, that there were beings on the moon. And I think that there probably are beings on the moon, but I don't know that they're feline people. I don't know. Maybe they are Draconians. I you know, who knows, but I started to get that feeling. Yeah, and I actually, at that time, I got really freaked out about the thought of eating meat, and I was like, no, we shouldn't be doing that. That's a test to see who's, I got a hair in my face, to see who is gonna notice, hey, maybe we shouldn't eat meat. Maybe we should just voluntarily decide not to do it, because I thought that it was people, like, that if we ate animals, that was, I mean, hey, karma, we're gonna get eaten as well by these beings, so you better stop doing it. And so I hadn't talked to my daughter, really. We kind of had a falling out, and I hadn't seen her in a long time, 6 months, and I called the house, her number, my mom's number, and they didn't answer, and I was in tears. I was bawling, and I was like, this is gonna sound really weird, but don't eat the meat. Don't eat the meat. And I said it a couple of times, and then I hung up. And yeah, that happened. I said, don't eat the meat, and it was like I just had this epiphany about all this stuff when I was reading some of the lyrics in the band, that the band Draconian has out there. But then the next night I saw that being in the wood, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's strange. And so it stuck out like a sore thumb, and it actually frightened me even worse. And then I ran, because I'd already got scared from the den where I was before because of the weird thing, the weird blackness, and I thought that Samara was going to come out of the TV, and, you know, because people could, I don't know it. But yeah, so then I ran into the kitchen, and then I got scared out of the kitchen, so I ran out of the house. And then I actually started feeling like the house, like I was on a ship. I thought that if I went outside from the den into the garage, that I would get sucked out of, you know, the gravity of space or whatever, because we were on a ship. And once again, I mean, these thoughts were just coming in, and I'm sitting there trying to process all of these thoughts in my head while everybody's sleeping. And I was alone with those thoughts. You know, my friend over this course of 2 weeks was getting really frustrated because, you know, I started saying all this weird stuff that he thought was strange. And of course, I've already been labeled as crazy by the medical profession when they institutionalized me for 6 weeks. So, you know, it's real convenient to just say, oh, don't listen to her, she's crazy. But yeah, I started thinking that we were on a ship. And so I ended up finding this bracelet, and it was a metal bracelet that just clipped on. And for some reason, I thought that bracelet controlled the ship, that I was the commander or the pilot of the ship, that I was the one flying the thing, and I was controlling it with my bracelet. And I went into this elaborate, and I actually had my caseworker from, because, you know, they were actually forcing me to take medicine. They were forcing me to go to these classes, these support group classes or whatever, which only made it worse because I just felt nuts. I mean, it made me feel like an imbecile is how it made me feel. You know, like your thoughts aren't valid, what you say isn't valid, you're delusional. And so this caseworker came over, and I told her, oh, you can go ahead and come in, I invited you in. You know, that's how vampires do. And I told her I was a vampire and that I controlled the ship. And I said, don't worry, I won't eat you. You know. So here to this caseworker, Yeah, and I started explaining how this device worked. And I said, don't look at it a certain way because you'll like disintegrate. And something about the way I was explaining it, I don't even remember. It made sense to my friend, the way with the technical stuff that I was saying. And I can't repeat it now. I don't remember exactly what I was saying, but yeah, just the technical stuff just came out of nowhere, and if you watch the video from yesterday, I actually thought that I was this Commander Shepard, and it just made a lot of sense because my mother's last name was Shepard, and the red hair and the green eyes and the weird eyebrow and all this stuff. So I mean, yeah, it just got worse and worse, and that mixed with the fact that I couldn't sleep just really just exacerbated the whole situation and made it that much worse. So then I didn't have any sleep, so I had all these excess thoughts and these thoughts in my head, and then I couldn't sleep and be able to process anything, and I was just like in la la land. I was freaking out. I said towards the end of that, yeah, we were on a ship, and back to the whole vampire thing, which vampire is kind of a really strange term to use, but it's just what I had at the time, but my friend actually put this Chris Angel DVD on, and I started watching Chris Angel. Well, I thought he was a vampire too, and that we were married. We were married, but he didn't know me in this body, but our souls were married or something, like twin flame or something like that. But I just got this weird, and I know like people that have schizophrenia, like they think that people are other people, and it makes sense now, but at the time I'm just like, wow, how is this possible? How am I married to him? I need to find him. He doesn't even know me. We're married. Hello, we're married. So yeah, so people need to learn more about, and I included, need to learn more about soul families and soul groups and that kind of connection and things like that. But yeah, I thought I was married to Chris Angel and that we were immortal. We knew each other in another life. So yeah, there's that. And I think that's really, I mean, as far as the quote unquote symptoms go, that's kind of really all I can remember. I remember looking at the grass, and the grass was alive and conscious, and I just got this feeling, and I know that's true now, like everything is conscious, everything is energy, so everything is, and so some of these delusions that I had aren't really delusions, they're just me tapping in to what's real, reality, real. And I remember, watching my friend talk to this caseworker, and they, and I was like, and I remember her saying delusional, and I got really mad. I was just pissed because I knew what I was saying was true. What I was saying was real in some kind of way, and that they were delusional. I told her she was Rihanna, and she was like, "Oh, thank you, that's so sweet." I don't know where that came from, but we're all somebody else, and if you start thinking about it, we're not, this body doesn't define us. So, but anyway, yeah, I'm gonna post a picture of that Draconian being that I saw. You might see it, but you might not. It's just, you kind of had to be there to really see that. But when I couldn't, finally I got so frustrated. I I did see a picture of a mermaid in a magazine. I was looking through a magazine and I saw this picture of this mermaid, and just her face was like right, like the water is here, and she was about to come out of the water, and she had fangs. I was like, okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. So that's probably you somehow. But then I couldn't figure out how to get the souls to heaven. I got a little puppy over here. I couldn't figure out how to get the souls to heaven. And I got really frustrated with that. And I was like, at any point, you know, we're just going to have this abundant supply of money, and you're not going to have to worry about where to live anymore, you know, place to live anymore. You're going to have everything you need in abundance. And I was like, you know, I'm going to check one of my debit cards, and I'm just going to have millions and millions of dollars on there. I don't know where that thought come from either. Well, I do, but you know, at that time I was like, why isn't it happening? It's because I can't get the souls to heaven. I can't figure out where the entrance is. Where is it? And yeah, after about 4 or 5 days of me just steadily not sleeping, I did end up going to the doctor. I didn't go to the hospital, but I went to the doctor, and they gave me this pill, like this thing on my tongue, and it just dissolved away. And then by the time I got back to the house, I was just falling asleep. And I slept for a few hours, I believe, until the next day. Well, when I woke up, it was not any better. It was still bad. I mean, I was like, why don't we have the money? What's up with the souls? I'm a vampire. This is not, you know. And I was upset, like throwing a fit almost, like this is real. I know it's real. And my friend was like, Carrie, you know, whatever, just call. And I was just really frustrated with everything, because I felt like I was being placated. I felt like I was just, you know, being made fun of, and I just didn't know what to do anymore. And my friend actually said, just go take your medicine. Just go take, he'd had enough, you know. I don't really blame him for saying it, but he said, just go take your medicine. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I was like, you want to see your friend die today? And I went in to the house, and I grabbed 2.5 bottles of pills, and I took all of them, every single pill. And it's not like something that I was premeditating. It was just, I don't know, I guess a kid throwing a fit, a temper tantrum. Out of frustration. It's not like I woke up and said, I'm just going to kill myself. But I did take all of those pills. And if they hadn't have called the ambulance when they did, I wouldn't be here. I actually, they got me on the gurney. That I wasn't going to go at first, and I was like, well, I guess I better go, because I did take all the pills. I was like, well, do I really want to die? But I actually ended up passing for 5 minutes. Yeah, so I woke up in the hospital, and I was by myself, and the phone was ringing, and it was my daughter, and she was crying, and that was like a wake-up call for me. Like, well, what are you doing, Carrie? Come on, snap out of this. Snap out of it. You know, get your shit together. Because she was crying, and she said, do you not know how much I need you? And I was like, damn. That made me feel terrible, and rightly so, you know, because she does need me, and I need me too. But then, so after I'd woke up and started moving around, they took me and wheeled me off into the mental institution, and I was there for another 2 weeks. And I think the first night I was actually there, this guy sat down next to me, looked me dead in the eyes, and said, "You look like a mermaid." So I'm just like, that didn't help. I was like, oh, really? I do? yeah, so that, you know, was stuck in my head. There's more details on that, you know, that kind of stuff. But these fairy tales and stuff, they do come from somewhere. You know, there's a reason for these delusions. And I actually read that mental institutions are starting to fill up with people having hallucinations and stuff. And I'm just like, okay, well, yeah, and we didn't, oh goodness, we didn't come here to fit in. You know, if we were all fitting in, then we'd all be the same and the earth wouldn't, you know, thrive. You know, do we want to get out of this slavery system and rise with the planet, or do we want to keep, you know, keep on living this way? Because to me, as somebody that's really sensitive and somebody that considers himself to be empathic, I mean, I absorb these energies, and I'm tired of being sad and blue and, you know, just all these negative emotions. And I'm pretty sure the earth is as well. It's a living being. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of a Leviathan or not. But yeah, that's, to me, I believe that's a ship, a living ship. So, anyway, yeah, I'm just gonna wrap that up there. So if, once again, if you have any questions or anything like that you'd like to ask, or have anything to add, please do. And if you know somebody that's going through this, then, you know, have them send me an email. My email address is kaekle99@gmail.com, and my name is Carrie. So, all right, if you have anything to say, just, you're welcome to do that. Leave a comment or whatever you'd like to do. So, okay. I will see you guys another time. Have a good night.